Hey everyone, we're diving into some really interesting stuff today. You guys sent over a feasibility study presentation and a blueprint all about data centers and cloud strategy in Africa.
Yeah,
And I gotta
that's
say,
really cool stuff.
Africa's really on the edge of something big here.
Yeah, it
I
is.
mean, we're talking about a complete transformation of how the continent buys and uses all things IT,
Hmm.
while making sure all their data is kept safe within their own borders.
Right, that data sovereignty piece is
Yeah,
huge.
that's a big one. And, going through these documents, there's this one stat that really blew my mind. A full 95% of African businesses are still using just traditional IT infrastructure.
Wow.
95%. That's a huge market just waiting for those cloud services.
Absolutely. I mean, that just shows you the scale of the opportunity we're talking about here. And, we hear a lot about how much internet use is growing in Africa,
Yeah.
but what we don't hear as much is that something like 80% of the continent's internet traffic is routed outside of Africa.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And that's a problem. It's not just about cost either. It's about that data sovereignty that keeps coming.
Right. So, okay, let's get into these data centers. The study found that Africa has 156 multi-tenant data centers,
Okay.
which, I mean, doesn't sound too bad on the surface. I'm
Yeah.
guessing the distribution isn't that great, though.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. Distribution is a big concern. South Africa is way ahead with 27 data centers, while over 15 countries have none at all.
Wow, none.
None. And then you have to think about reliability, too. We use this tier system globally to classify data centers, tier 1 to tier 4,
Yeah.
and it's all based on redundancy and uptime.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, how good they are at avoiding outages.
So Tier Thor is like the top tier, the gold standard.
Exactly, top of the line. And out of those 156 data centers, only 15 are tier 4. 56 are tier 3, which is still pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
But get this, a whole 85 of them are unclassified. We have no idea how reliable they are.
Unclassified.
Yeah.
Really, that's a huge red flag for anyone thinking about moving their data to the cloud, right? It seems risky.
Yeah, you're not wrong. And that's a big reason why both the study and the blueprint recommend focusing on tier 3 and 4 for now.
Makes sense.
And the goal is to eventually get all tier 3 up to that tier 4 standard.
Okay, so where do all the different types of data centers fit into this? Remember the study talked about a few categories?
Right. They talked about 5: organizational managed services, colocation, cloud, and then edge. Each one's got its own pluses and minuses depending on what the user needs and their budget.
Gotcha. Now let's dig a little deeper into cloud services in Africa. I
Yeah.
know you've got this great way of explaining the difference between IaaS, PaaS, and SaaS.
Oh, yeah.
It's like ordering a pizza, right?
That's the one.
Yeah.
IS is like you're getting all the ingredients and making the pizza yourself, so you've got total control, but you got to do all the work.
Okay, I see.
Pious is more like you're getting the dough and toppings already prepped, a little less work, but you can't get too creative.
Mm-hmm.
And then sauce is like just ordering delivery.
Mm-hmm.
Super easy, but you're stuck with whatever's on the menu.
Aha. I love that analogy. So let's say I'm a business owner in Africa and I'm ready to go all in on the cloud. What are some of the things I need to watch out for, or maybe some unique opportunities I should be thinking about?
Well, data security and vendor lock-in are two biggies, especially in a market that's changing so fast. You got to know where your data is, who can see it, and what happens if you want to switch providers later on.
Makes sense.
And the blueprint really pushes for this cloud-first approach.
Yeah, cloud first. What does that actually mean in practice?
Basically, it means whenever you're making a decision, the cloud should be your go-to option. It's about being flexible, scalable, and keeping costs down.
Right.
Of course, there are always going to be exceptions, but it's about really leveraging the power of the cloud.
I like it. Okay, so this brings us to that big vision that the blueprint lays out, building this African data centers and cloud marketplace that covers the whole continent. Pretty ambitious, right? What do you think? Is it actually doable?
Oh, it's ambitious, all right, but I think it's also essential. Let's imagine this. One platform where businesses and governments can find any data center or cloud provider across all of Africa.
Wow.
They can compare services, they can haggle on prices, and they know their data is staying right there on the continent.
So instead of going with providers overseas, they can support African businesses and build up the digital economy in Africa.
Exactly. It's about everyone winning.
I like it. But how would this marketplace actually work? Who are the main players and what would they be doing?
All right, so you've got the data centers themselves, then the cloud service providers offering those IS, ParaCS, and SaaS solutions we were talking about. Then you've got the telecom operators. They'd basically be the cloud carriers making sure everything is connected, and of course you've got the marketplace entity itself. They're running the platform. Plus you need a labeling entity to make sure everyone meets quality standards, and then a cloud auditor to keep an eye on everything.
Wow, that's a lot of moving parts. Getting everyone on the same page and working together, that's got to be a challenge.
Oh, absolutely. And that's why the blueprint suggests a phased approach. They'd start with a pilot phase focusing on colocation and IaaS in a few countries that already have decent infrastructure.
A kind of test run before going continent-wide.
Exactly. That way they can work out the kinks, refine the model, and show everyone how it works before expanding to the full target phase, which would cover all of Africa and a wider range of services.
Smart move. Now, the blueprint also talks a lot about labeling. What does that mean in this context?
So the idea is to label data centers and cloud providers who meet certain standards. Things like security certifications, data protection policies, even how energy efficient they are. Basically, it gives customers a quick way to see which providers meet the quality bar.
So it's all about building trust and transparency, especially for those who are a little hesitant about moving to the cloud.
Exactly. And that trust is key for getting investment, which is the other big piece of this puzzle. We're talking billions of dollars to upgrade existing data centers, build new ones, lay down this huge fiber optic network, and integrate with those global hyperscale cloud providers.
Right, that makes sense. Now, I was really interested in the financial model they're proposing in the blueprint. It seemed pretty innovative.
Yeah, it is. So the marketplace entity would actually act as a cloud broker, negotiating better prices for customers and making sure providers have a certain number of customers signed up.
So it's creating a stable ecosystem where everyone benefits.
Exactly. It's not just connecting buyers and sellers, it's actively shaping the market and making those cloud services more accessible and affordable.
I like that. Okay, but let's be real. Building all this infrastructure, the data centers, the fiber optic cables, all of that, isn't that going to be a big hit to the environment? How's the blueprint address that?
Yeah, that's a valid concern. The study actually points out the potential environmental and social impacts like energy use and responsible waste disposal. The good news is that the blueprint encourages using energy-efficient practices, using renewable energy sources, and minimizing that environmental footprint.
So it's about building this digital ecosystem responsibly and sustainably.
You got it. And we can't forget about the human element. All this fancy tech is useless if people don't want to use it or don't know how.
Right, the whole change management piece, getting people comfortable with these new ways of working.
Exactly. The blueprint really stresses clear communication, getting everyone involved, and having solid training programs to help people adapt to this digital shift.
That's super important. Even the best tech can fail if people don't buy in or don't have the skills to use it. We've covered a lot already, but what stands out to you as the biggest opportunity here? What makes this project so exciting?
I think the biggest potential here is to empower people and businesses all across Africa. I mean, imagine a small business owner in a tiny village. Suddenly they have the same tech as a company in a big city.
Yeah.
It could really level the playing field and unlock so much economic growth.
That's huge. Okay, let's say this African data centers and cloud marketplace is actually up and running. I'm a business owner in Nairobi. I want to upgrade my IT setup. What do I do? How does this marketplace actually work for me?
So first you'd log on to the marketplace portal. It's designed to be super user-friendly, kind of like those online shopping sites, but for data centers and cloud services.
Okay, and I'm guessing it would be easy to compare different providers.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You can filter by what kind of service you need, how much security you want, even the provider's sustainability rating.
Sustainability rating, what's that?
Remember, we talked about data centers and their impact on the environment. Well, this marketplace encourages providers to use energy-efficient tech and renewable energy. Their sustainability rating shows how well they're doing on that front, so you can make choices that match your own values.
Ooh, I like that. So it's not just about finding the cheapest option.
Nope.
And since this is specifically for Africa, I can support African businesses and make sure my data follows African laws.
You got it. Supporting local economies and keeping that data sovereignty intact.
Okay, so I've looked around, compared some providers, and I've found one that seems like a good fit. What's next?
You can reach out to them directly through the marketplace.
Okay.
Ask any questions you have, get a custom quote, even set up a virtual tour of their data center. It's about building relationships with providers you can trust.
So there's that human element again. It's not just clicking buttons and buying something. And once I've worked out the details, I assume I can sign contracts and pay all through the platform.
Exactly. It streamlines the whole process from start to finish. And, what about after you're all set up? What if you run into problems or need help with something?
Right. What happens then?
The marketplace has this whole system for customer support and resolving any disputes.
Right.
You can track your service agreements, report any issues, and if you need to, the marketplace entity can step in and help sort things out.
So it's like having backup. That's good to know. But this isn't just about businesses like mine, right?
You're right, it's not. The blueprint actually sees this marketplace as a way to transform all sectors, even government services.
Oh, interesting. How could governments use this? Can you give me an example?
Sure, imagine a clinic in a remote area. They need to store patient records safely and access things like telehealth services. Through the marketplace, they could easily find a provider with affordable, reliable solutions that fit exactly what they need.
So it can really help bridge that digital divide and bring essential services to those underserved communities.
Exactly. And on a bigger scale, governments could use this marketplace to get all sorts of cloud-based solutions, for education, transportation, finance, agriculture, you name it. It can make their operations smoother, more transparent, and they can offer better services to their citizens.
And because this marketplace puts data sovereignty first, governments know that all their sensitive information is staying right there in Africa.
Absolutely. So we've talked about how businesses and governments benefit, but what about the providers themselves? What's in it for them?
Yeah, good point. I mean, why would they want to join this marketplace?
It's a chance to tap into a massive new market. They can reach more customers, promote their services, and do business across borders more easily. It's not just about competition. It's about collaborating and creating this thriving digital ecosystem where everyone can succeed.
Right, a rising tide lifts all boats. But we can't ignore the fact that this whole thing needs a ton of investment, billions of dollars to make it happen.
Yeah.
Where's all that money going to come from?
It's going to take a mix of public and private investment. Governments will need to set up the right regulations and offer some incentives. And we'll need private companies, both in Africa and globally, to see the potential here and invest.
Seems like a huge task.
Yeah, well, it definitely is. But the potential payoff is enormous. It's not just about building things. It's about investing in people's skills, supporting entrepreneurs, and creating this culture of innovation. It's a long-term commitment to building a sustainable digital future for Africa.
And while the blueprint does a good job of laying out the roadmap, there are still a lot of technical details to figure out, right? I mean, how do we actually make sure this platform is secure, reliable, and that everyone can access it, even in those remote areas?
That's the million-dollar question, and the blueprint really digs into that.
Yeah.
It's not just about having data centers. It's about connecting them in a smart, secure way that works for everyone, no matter where they are. And that's where things get really interesting.
Okay, so before we wrap up, let's give our listeners a little preview of what this marketplace looks like on the technical side.
Okay.
What are some of the key things that need to be in place to make it all work? All right, so we're talking about connecting this huge continent, making sure everyone can actually use this marketplace. What does that look like?
Well, the blueprint talks a lot about investing in fiber optic cables. Like a lot of investment. We're talking about putting down 250,000 kilometers of new cable all across Africa.
250,000 kilometers. That's insane. Why so much?
It's all about building a super fast, super reliable network for their digital economy. Think of it like building those mega highways for data, so it can zip across the continent.
Gotcha. But it's more than just cables, right?
Right. It's also about putting internet exchange points, or IXPs, in the right places.
IXPs. What are those?
Basically, they're like hubs where different internet providers can connect and exchange traffic. Right now, a lot of data from Africa has to travel across continents to get where it needs to go,
Oh, I see.
which slows things down and makes it more expensive. By having more IXPs in Africa, the data can stay local, making the internet faster and cheaper.
So it's about keeping African data in Africa. Back to that data sovereignty idea.
Exactly. But what about people in really remote areas? How do we make sure they can use this marketplace and all these services?
Yeah, that's a good point.
That's where edge computing comes in. The blueprint suggests teaming up with those big global cloud providers, like Microsoft Azure, to set up edge data centers in Africa. These are smaller data centers that can handle a lot of the processing right there on the spot, so there's less lag, and the cloud services are closer to even the most remote users.
So instead of my data having to go all the way to a data center in Europe, for example, it could be handled much closer.
Exactly. And it's already happening. We're seeing how edge computing can change things. Think about farmers in remote areas using apps that give them real-time data, or doctors in far-off clinics using AI tools during surgery.
That's incredible. Okay, so we've got this massive fiber optic network. We've got IXPs in strategic locations, and we've got edge data centers bringing the cloud closer to everyone. What about security, though?
Security, definitely a top priority. The blueprint has a whole multi-layered approach. Well, you've got all the cybersecurity stuff in the data centers themselves. Strong encryption, secure logins, regular security checks. But it goes beyond that. They're talking about creating a whole team of cybersecurity experts to watch over the marketplace and deal with any threats.
Like a digital security force.
Yeah, exactly. They'd be on the lookout for any weaknesses and jump into action if anything happens. Because if people don't feel like their data is safe, they're not going to use the marketplace.
Makes sense. But what about the people actually using the platform? Not everyone's a tech whiz. How do we make this marketplace user-friendly so that anyone can use it?
It all comes down to good design. The blueprint really emphasizes making the marketplace portal easy to navigate, having it in different languages, and providing support for those who need a little extra help.
So they're really trying to make it inclusive. We've covered a lot in this deep dive, and it's clear that this African data centers and cloud marketplace could be a total game changer for the continent. But it's also a huge, complex project. What do you think is the most important thing for it to succeed?
I think it comes down to collaboration. No one country or company can pull this off alone. They need everyone, governments, businesses, and everyday people, all working together towards this goal.
Building a digital future for Africa by Africa.
Exactly. And if they can make it work, the possibilities are limitless. Imagine entrepreneurs in small villages having the same chances as those in big cities, governments providing services seamlessly, innovation booming in every sector. It's a pretty exciting vision.
It all starts with data. Data that's kept safe in Africa, processed efficiently, and used to make life better for everyone.
Taking control of their digital future and using technology to empower and connect people.
I like it. We've only scratched the surface in this deep dive, but hopefully it's given you a taste of what they're planning. Any last thoughts for our listeners who've been with us on this journey?
I think the biggest takeaway is to keep an eye on this. This African data centers and cloud marketplace is a bold move and could really change the tech landscape for a whole continent.
So we encourage you to dig a little deeper, stay up to date on how things are progressing, and think about how you can be a part of this digital revolution. The future of Africa is digital, and it's being built right now. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive, and we'll catch you next time.